Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitchside podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSP. Like, share, comment on this video. Most importantly, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and enable notifications to receive all the updates of this channel's content. Follow social media. I'm at Side PSP on Twitter, PitchsidePod on Instagram, and of course, listen to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. You can catch it later on at www.webreadsports.com, and also all the way to the episode drops on YouTube. And let's get on, of course, with our business as usual, ladies and gentlemen. And let's start as usual with the news roundup, of course, what has happened in the last 24 hours in the world of football. And we're starting with some transfer talk, of course, and Real Madrid are really linked with Mbappe. Of course, AS produced an article called Operation Mbappe to approach the French striker, which contract expires in 2022 with PSG at the moment. This summer, with a year remaining, he will be available to discuss. Of course, the Spanish giants believe that the fee to sign Mbappe could range anywhere from 150 million euros to 222 million euros, which is, of course, the same fee that Neymar was signed from Barcelona back in 2017. Mbappe's annual wage is set to come at 21 million euros, which is, you know, something that Real Madrid will be able to pay, according to us. PSG have absolutely no desire to lose Mbappe. That's obvious and clear, really. He's one of their biggest stars at the moment. But if the 22-year-old refuses to sign the contract and extend his contract with the club, the situation in the summer would be, pretty straightforward. He will move probably to Real Madrid if they don't manage to convince him to stay at the club. As say, Real Madrid are confident that Mbappe will move to Spain. They claim that Florentino Perez had close contact with PSG's Qatari owners and forged a close relationship with them at times. It apparently contacted them to dismiss report in the past linking the club with a move to Neymar or even Mbappe. Now the Spanish giant are hoping their policy of appeasement will now come good, but there is of course a mega financial side that Real Madrid needs to sort at the moment. Few clubs have been as impacted financially as Real Madrid have been over the course of the last year and the pandemic with its circumstances and effects. So Real Madrid need at least to sell 6 players earmarked to found a new club at the moment. Gareth Bale's future has long been lied away from the Bernabeu, but remains to be seen if Tottenham decide to keep him for another season after an injury-hit campaign so far. Isco linked with Arsenal, Denis Ceballos on his second loan spell at Arsenal, Luka Jovic, midfield Brahim Diaz on loan spell at Milan at the moment, and Marcelo all deemed to be on the way out to raise the money for Operation Mbappe. Now, this is an ambitious operation for Real Madrid. Will it happen or not? It is still a big question mark. Will it happen? Will Real Madrid be able to buy Mbappe? Nobody knows. Maybe they will change their plans and will buy Mbappe, because that is what happened when Neymar went to Barcelona. Barcelona were about to buy Verratti, and it ended up with Neymar being bought by PSG. Anyway, still talking about the transfer, and we move into Arsenal. And Rob Holding officially signed a new long-term deal with Arsenal running until 2024, then further year as an option. Technical director Edu said that they're happy to sign Rob Holding on a contract extension. The 25-year-old still coming at a peak of his career. Delighted that he'll be with us during the important years. Rob has shown great quality and maturity on and off the pitch, and he is developing quickly as a player. We're looking forward to Rob continuing his progression in the years to come. Mikel Arteta said he's been hugely impressed by Rob's contribution to the club, of course, and he wants to see him more on the pitch. He's excellent in training and whatever. And the normal stuff you expect a coach to say. Since joining from Bolton Wanderers in 2016, Rob made 96 first-team appearances with Arsenal, winning 2 FA Cups along the way, with the highlights of Rob's career being his first season, a superb performance in the 2017 FA Cup final with his commanding display alongside then-still player Per Mertesacker, ensuring that they won the trophy against Chelsea in a 2-1 result. Mourinho hits back at Ozil after saying he'd rather retire than play for Spurs. I mean, I watched the video. If you didn't watch the video, really, please go check it out. It's all over Twitter. Just type Mourinho Ozil and you will find it. Despite the fact that he trained them at Real Madrid, their relationship isn't exactly, bad or anything, but when the push came to shove, he delivered one of the best jobs I've ever seen all year. This is up there with the 3 subs 1 point job from Jurgen Klopp earlier in the year. Jose Mourinho said that when he was asked about Mesut Ozil, who's been exiled by the Gunners, of course, maintaining club loyalty in North London, he previously said, of course, that he would rather retire than play for Spurs. Swiftly, Mourinho, answering, saying that who told them that Tottenham were interested in signing him. That's a moment of, super hot fire, if you know what I mean. The video. Anyway, so, it's a brilliant reaction. You should check it out on Twitter, really. Still in Tottenham and still in Arsenal. And Aubameyang saying that he admits he struggles a lot, of course. He said that the boss Mikel Arteta was speaking in December, of course. The boss Mikel Arteta said that he was overthinking his issue, and he's still one of the best players there, and he's still positive that things could be turned around for Aubameyang. For Aubameyang himself, who was asked in an interview about that lack of goals, he said, "From the beginning of the season, I was struggling a lot, but I think this is a part of football." He said, "We gave a lot at the end of the season with the FA Cup and to qualify the Europa League, but it's really important for the club." He said, "Sometimes you have the up, sometimes you have the down, and you have to manage as best as you can. I tried my best until now. It was not the best performance for me." And he said, "I'm still positive, and I think he can turn this around. I think too that he can turn it around. Aubameyang is one of the best out there in terms of attacking. He still can give Arsenal a lot of experience. Maybe his age will not let him give him a lot of play time, but I think experience-wise, he can still deliver, and motivation-wise, he can still be the captain that Arsenal need to be." Unfortunately, we're moving to some bad news at the moment, and Barcelona are approaching $1 billion of debt. Barcelona is going to probably enter a dramatic austerity problem, with the Catalan giant owing nearly €1 billion to £1 billion, to creditors. That's around €13 billion. They announced during the 1920 season that they expected to be the first club to break the £1 billion barrier for the income, £1 billion that is. However, the figure was blown, of course, by the coronavirus pandemic. The result, the club took a loss of almost €100 million for the campaign, or £73 million for the campaign, and there are concerns this season could be worse. According to Catalonia's leading newspaper La Vanguardia, it is that the club owes with a net debt of €500 million, being topped by a runaway deficit amounting to €400 million. Now this is easily sad for a club like Barcelona, and it is not a hidden fact. Everybody almost knows that Barcelona are the highest paying club in the world, and with a salary with the likes of Messi, you'd think really that this is going to be a rough situation, and the discussions and negotiations are ongoing to lower the salaries of the player at the moment for 40% or something like that. They're trying really to save money whenever they can. And we finish with some weird news, really, and we move into West Ham. West Ham appointed Ev Vorley, a director of X-rated movies and adult movie star, such as Lesbian Student Nurses and Horny Housewives, on the job on their board. Yes, what you heard is real. I repeat it again. West Ham have hired an adult star to their board. I'm not against it really, but it just felt weird. Vorley, whose real name is Emma Benton Hughes, is part of West Ham's co-chairman David Sullivan, and has been pictured at the London Stadium watching the Hammers in action on numerous occasions. Now she's stepping up into the day-to-day of the running of the club, currently 10th in the Premier League. The 55-year-old Vorley was a page 3 girl and directed a number of adult films in the late 90s, early 2000s. She and her partner Sullivan made their money because Sullivan's estimated wealth is currently at £1.15 billion. She's been appointed as a director at West Ham, and she's currently managing director of West Ham women's team. I mean, if that isn't weird, like seriously, if that isn't weird, this is going to give the word West Ham are in action a whole new meaning. By the way, if you didn't know, and this is not a new thing because Mia Khalifa is famously a West Ham supporter, which is weird in its own right, but I think this is another step. Like, she could have been a good manager-director for the women's team anyway. Seriously, for anyone who thinks I'm underestimating the adult industry, no, I'm not. It just felt like a weird piece of news to say, and that's it. And let's move on. That's it for the news. Let's now talk about some of the action that took place yesterday across Europe, and we're starting from the Premier League, of course. Sheffield United finally managed to win and managed 3 points, not just 3 points, but a clean sheet as well against a 10-man Newcastle. That was yesterday, of course. Sheffield United, they deserve to win, really. I mean, first of all, how Newcastle played that game, how Newcastle played a defensive game against Sheffield United is absolutely beyond me at the moment, why Newcastle would play a defensive game against Sheffield United. But Sheffield United were the better side. They deserve to win. I think it comes after a long time. Will it save them from relegation? This is the big question. Will this start a revolution for the club? Will this start a turnaround for the club in the season? Nobody knows really for sure if that is going to happen or not. In my opinion, I hope to see that happening. I don't want to see Sheffield United relegated. I've been enjoying them last season. Unfortunately, the season didn't go well for them. Chris Wilder isn't exactly on the best of books as far as coaching is concerned. But I think if they manage to turn it around really, and if they manage some good results the next couple of weeks, maybe they will, be fine for the season, and will, it would probably, this one would be the great escape, because considering they had only 2 points until now, it will be pretty great to see them, manage a victory, and probably manage a great escape. Who knows what could happen in the next couple of days. Burnley hosted Man United, of course, and this is the big game in the Premier League yesterday, but of course let's skip that, and we're going to be returning to that later on. Wolves lost to Everton at home 2-1. It was a pretty tight game, pretty balanced. I think both sides, it could have gone either way pretty easily. The sway of the game was absolutely brilliant. The first 15 minutes witnessed 2 goals either side of the pitch. Iwobi opened the scoring in the 6th minute by Luca Digne's assist, and Ruben Neves managed to make it 1-1 inside 40 minutes. The game again was pretty tight, pretty balanced. It could have gone either way. In the end, it gone Everton's way, with Michael Keane coming in and scoring the 2nd goal and the winner for Everton. And of course now back to the Burnley versus Manchester United game, and what you need to know about this game really is that Man United won. Man United are top of the table at the moment. Seriously, this is this was as predictable of a game as it would be. Everybody knew going in that Burnley are not a side that gives a lot of places. They're not a side that exactly bad defensively. They're not bad defensively, like not necessarily bad. They have, 21 goals isn't exactly the most ridiculous record in this season. I mean, there are teams that conceded, worse and more than them, and they higher above them on the table. So Burnley aren't exactly the worst defence in the league. By far, they're not. Man United, I think, again, this was a well-managed game from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think his management of the game was superb. I mean, it's brilliant. The starting lineup, I think, was not, the best he could do at the moment. He doesn't have exactly a deep squad, but he has a decent squad enough to make a good lineup out of it. Starting with Matic and Pogba, I think in midfield was quite a master stroke, considering that You're not expecting Burnley to play through you or play, you know, short passes or tiki-taka, play, you know, try and move between the lines or anything like that. This is not Burnley's style. They are, you know, straight up bullying players. I mean, you know, they don't have short players in Burnley. I reckon the shortest player in Burnley is Josh Brownhill, and he's around 6'1". So it's going to be, you know, a little bit hard dealing with those physically. You know, expecting Burnley to be again the bullying kind of side, playing you know, long balls up top. They put Nemanja Matic and Paul Pogba in the midfield. Paul Pogba is clearly taking the offensive route in this game. He's the one demanded to go forward, while Nemanja Matic is simply going to be there, you know, to take the second balls, head the crosses away, or head the long balls going up top away, and be the first there for the long balls that are going to be played by Burnley, and trying to intercept. And that is, I think, was the motto for Manchester United in the whole game. Try and, you know, and play, you know, not through Burnley, but around Burnley pretty much. And they tried a lot of crosses. I think in the game that it was really showing. They had a lot of you know, they have a lot of crosses. They had free kicks till now end, because we know that Burnley are aggressive. They didn't exactly manage to score that easy, although they created chances and they had opportunities that were denied by the goalkeeper Nick Pope, who had a good game, I would say. Overall, I mean, credit to Solskjaer, because he kept playing his own game. He kept playing the same game, didn't change, because he knew if he changed his style, Burnley are going to be bouncing on them somehow. Burnley also had a couple of attempts, but nothing really interesting, nothing really dangerous. Overall, United again kept playing their game and kept trying until they knocked on the door. Pogba on the 71st minute, I mean, took a deflection. I almost said it's a beautiful finish, but it took a deflection, so I can't really credit that much. You know, sort of, it is sort of a weird goal anyway, but I still celebrate it. I mean, on first viewing, you think it's beautiful, but then you see the deflection, and you know, and you see also the angle where the goalkeeper was at, and you think the goalkeeper could have saved this anyway if it wasn't for the defenders. You could make a case even that Martialis blinded him, but you know, you don't want to really enter that debate anyway. So again, the big takeaway of the game: Man United go top of the Premier League table. This didn't happen for 40 months. 40 months. This didn't happen for Man United, and they are now top of the table, and top of the table on their own as well. 3 points above Liverpool, heading into that crucial fixture at Anfield for them, and they're heading into that fixture with all the momentum in the world. This feels like a United side that is rejuvenated. This feels like a United side that is finally coming to grips with the reality that they're playing for effing Man United, and they need to win trophies, and they need to win titles. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to win trophies and wants to win the league. The pressure maybe will, you know, creep into the players at some point of the season, realizing that, oh damn, we're going to be, you know, playing for the league, we're going to be competing for the league. But this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, to keep the players grounded, to keep himself grounded. And, you know, we saw some managers in other leagues saying that we're playing for the title and then get demolished the next day. Hello, Stefano Pioli. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job to keep things, you know, pretty grounded for the club, keep their mentality sharp and keep their focus sharp as well. They have a big game ahead against Liverpool, and if they win it, we will say that they are the prime contenders for the title, the ball favourites. I mean, it doesn't make sense when you look at it, but seriously, that is what actually happened. This is what is happening. Man United are now in pole position to win the Premier League title. So the Premier League action continues, of course, today. You know, with some rescheduled fixtures. It is going to be Man City versus Brighton, Tottenham versus Fulham as well. You know, Tottenham versus Fulham, of course. The rescheduled fixture after the game between Tottenham and Aston Villa was you know, scheduled to take place then, but of course the COVID cases for Aston Villa didn't allow that to happen, so the game was rescheduled and it's going to be Tottenham versus Fulham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That is a big advantage for Spurs playing a home game now. I think they need the points. Anyway, Man City versus Brighton, I think this is a straightforward game for Pep Guardiola's boys, and Arsenal round up this whole blank midweek against Crystal Palace on Thursday, playing at 9 p.m. It was the top guys' night in Spain. Atletico Madrid played a game against Sevilla, which was a rescheduled game from round 1 in La Liga, and it was a 2-0 victory for Sevilla. I'm not going to say a lot more than what I said in the review of that game, and you can check it out on the channel, by the way. But this was one step closer to the Liga title for me. 1 out of 3 games Atletico Madrid have in hand. A typical Atletico Madrid victory. They didn't do a whole lot. They picked up their moments against the Sevilla side. That was decent, but quite ineffective, really, when you look at it. They had, from 13 shots, they had 2 shots on target, and those 2 shots on target were 1 in the first half and 1 early on in the second half, and they couldn't add more to that. Considering that, from the other side, Atletico had only 7 shots in the game with 34% of possession and had 6 shots on target. It is really great, to see some side like Atletico, trying to change the game a little bit, trying to change their motto. They weren't exactly ultra defensive as you expect them to be, especially in the first half. They were, trying to move through the gears, not exactly rolling the ball around, but they trying to, pick up their moments and try to play transition quickly, which is, I think, became a trait of a character this season for them, with the likes of Carrasco playing an important role, Llorente on the other side playing an important role, Thomas Lemar coming into age, really, pretty much with the with this season, with the transformation in the squad and in the shape of the side. It gave Thomas Lemar probably another niche of life at the club. It certainly allowed him to be more, to be more open and to be, having more spaces to move in and try to link up more with the likes of Llorente and Carrasco. Correa up front was the player who was taking the bulk of the work, was the one who's dropping deep and trying to move. We know Suarez isn't exactly at his best physical abilities at the moment. He can't move a lot. Even his game rating isn't exactly that good. Correa, of course, was the one sort of almost dropping to a number 10 position, although in Llorente and Lemar there are quite 2 de facto number 10s in the club. Again, Atletico picked up their moments. Sevilla were ineffective. They missed a couple of sitters in the second half. Youssef Nasiri, wasn't exactly as sharp as we expect him to be. And Atletico Madrid picked up the right times and the right spots to hit Sevilla where it hurts. 2 goals, I think, carbon copy of each other. Spaces behind the left back. Marcos Acuna didn't have the best of games defensively. I think Kieran Trippier and Marcos Llorente outran him quite a lot in that game. And it showed. The 2 goals were pretty much the culmination of the work that Atletico Madrid put on that side. Sevilla couldn't know what to do, really. It seemed like the same scenario of the game against Real Madrid. They concede a goal and they try to equalize in the second half. They go all out pretty much, and they try as much as they can. But against a side like Atletico Madrid, who knows how to defend really well and sit quite deep at the back, Diego Simeone managed his game. Brought in João Felix, and of course from there on it was a different ball game. 10 minutes later, after bringing in João Felix, Saúl Ñíguez making it 2-0, also a substitute brought on from the bench as well. After that, of course, Atletico Madrid, and Simeone managed to to make the substitutions that they like, the defensive substitutions that they like in Lucas Torreira and Luis Felipe, to see the game off in the last 10 minutes or so. An important victory for Atletico Madrid. A victory that is amplified, I think, by the fact that Real Madrid and Barcelona behind them are in action in the Super Cup today and tomorrow. Of course, you can check out that review for the games and the first Super Cup as well on the channel here. Atletico Madrid now one step closer to the Liga title. I believe that the other games in hand against Getafe and Athletic Bilbao probably are available up for the taking for Atletico Madrid. They could win them and they could enlarge the gap on the top of the table with their opponents to 10 points potentially ahead of Real Madrid and Barcelona. And let's finish the episode, of course, from a quick talk about the games in Italy and Germany. Of course, in Italy it was the Coppa Italia. It was Milan taking on Torino in the round of 32 in that competition, and it was, of course, Milan defeating Torino by penalties 4-3. It was a hard game for Atletico, clearly, for Milan, sorry, who played pretty much. I mean, when you play with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you cannot exactly say that you are playing with the second side, but still, it's pretty much a change side. Castillejo starting, Calabria playing in the midfield, returning to that position with Sandro Tonali. It was quite a modified side for AC Milan, but still they managed to win that game against Torino. It was again a hard one for Milan, moving on to the next round of the Coppa Italia, moving on to the quarter-final of Coppa Italia. 3 games are to be played today in that competition. Fiorentina hosting Inter, Napoli hosting Empoli, and Juventus hosting Genoa. Sassuolo hosts Spal, and Atalanta hosts Cagliari. That is for tomorrow. And on next Tuesday it will be Roma Spezia and Lazio facing Parma. That is for next Thursday, January 21st. 5-4 it ends, penalties for AC Milan against Torino. And thankfully, by the way, the penalties didn't take 1 hour and 30 minutes like they did in the Europa League for AC Milan. It almost becomes their thing at the moment. Anyway, in Germany as well, it was cup action between Eintracht Frankfurt and Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen, of course, managed to defeat Eintracht Frankfurt and get some of their reputation back, I would say, trying to restore some of their respect back after losing to Eintracht Frankfurt and in the league a couple of weeks ago. Bayer Leverkusen 4-1 against Eintracht Frankfurt. Bayer Leverkusen, although it was Eintracht Frankfurt who opened the scoring charts in the 6th minute, Amin Yunus by an assist from André Silva. Lucas Alario from the spot made it 1-1 inside 27 minutes, and the second half was all about Bayer Leverkusen scoring 3 goals in the second half and dominating the game to qualify to the next round of the DFB Pokal, of course, to join the likes of Stuttgart, Hannover, Bochum, Wolfsburg, Essen, Borussia Mönchengladbach as well, Darmstadt, Paderborn, Borussia Dortmund, 4th Schalke, Leipzig, and Köln. And who else is going to be winning from Holstein Kiel and Bayern Munich today in the last game of the round of 32, in the DFB Pokal. Thanks for watching / listening. With this, of course, we finish the episode now. Like, share, comment on this video, of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel. Enable notifications to receive the updates of this kind of content, the podcast and every other content on this channel. Loads coming more these days. Site PSP, I'm there on Twitter, PitchSidePod on Instagram, Spotify, Google Podcasts or any other platform to find this podcast or listen to it on www.webreathesports.com. Thank you for watching / listening. I was your boy, the HD of the PSP, and until next time, I will be seeing you soon. Goodbye.